I'm Rick from Cartridge Classic Cars. On this video, we're back on the 70 Challenger. In this video, what we're going to end up doing, we're going to continue the bodywork phase. If you've seen previous videos on this car, you can see we basically built a brand new metal body for this car. And then we transitioned to the bodywork phase. On the bodywork portion of this car, we basically jammed out in filler. We used Rage Ultra, and we went on certain parts of the car that we knew that needed a lot of attention in the grand scheme of things. Everything here was still, give or take, less than 1/16 of an inch of all the filler work. We did use fiberglass reinforced long hair, kitty hair on the lead joints, but besides that, we stepped it down to Rage Ultra. Once we did the rough body work on the whole car, we covered the whole car in slick sand. We sanded down the slick sand at that point, and at the end of that part, we covered the car in a 2K high build primer. Where we're at since that video is I did sand the whole entire car one time. I found there were still minor imperfections here or there, and it was easier for me to just let the car, cover the car with 2 more coats of the 2K high build primer. I did block most of the car out, and now we're just on this side. So we're gonna pick up the video from there. So what we're doing, we're starting with, this was the next round of 2K filler. What we ended up doing then, we're gonna block this out, and with the ultimate goal is to get the car looking like the roof, what we got right here. At the end of the video, we are gonna continue on with the 320. So right now, the roof actually blocked out really well. You can see we have some filler work up here. We have some epoxy showing up in this area. That would be a high. That's from the bow of the roof support when we put it on there. And this is what we're looking for. It's just minor imperfections. The rest of the roof, you can see there's no metal spots anywhere. There's one right here, but that's on a corner. So we'll kind of put that in with some sealer. After we're done with all the 220, we're gonna come back and we're gonna cut it down with 320. Just to, at that point, you just remove the sand scratches. We start off with 220, which is aggressive in this phase, but what we're trying to do is cut the car flat and cut it quick. The idea now is if we see any signs of bare metal, we need to stop. Now you'll see on the other side and possibly on this side, we're gonna have a couple areas and we'll go over it. After we're done blocking the side down, what we're gonna do to address, we're not gonna block this whole car. This whole car looks really good. In the grand scheme of things, there's a couple things we're gonna dial in. So we're starting big and we're bringing the car back down. And like I said, we're gonna blend it all in 320. So let's get to some blocking. Like I said, right now, we're in a 2K high build. Omni 182 is what we're using. We sprayed 2 coats on top of it. It came out pretty good. A lot of that, I don't think it dry sprayed. I think there's just dust on the car. So let's blow it off and let's get our guide coat on the car, and I'll show you kind of, we're gonna build a road map, and that's all we're doing. We're gonna keep sanding till the black goes away. So I like the powder guide coat. I'm just using the Duragold gold dry coat. There's others out there. It works good. So you can see, we're just gonna put it on. I put it on heavy, and I'm covering the whole car everywhere I wanna sand in the black guide coat. Now, I already did the whole top of the fenders, the hood, all the way back. I'm trying to do this car in a system. What we're gonna do right now, we're just gonna start blocking this top section, and then we'll work our way down to if I don't spill the thing. We'll just start there for right now. Like I said, you could cover the whole car. We're gonna sand it down, so we're gonna work from this line to the body line. So we're gonna grab the longest straight block we can. Now, I don't like to start off with a solid block unless I know the panel's completely solid. I've been blocking this car enough. The Challenger, it's a little more challenging of a car to block with all the curvatures. Everything has body lines on it. So we want to get the block that holds the shape without just, if this was a straight block, it would be cutting in the center too much because the car has got this curve, slight curve to it. And we're not doing straight, we're not trying to change the body lines of the car. We're trying to work with the body line. So I want to aggressive block, and then what I'll do, I'll switch to the block a little bit later if we have areas that are more curved with the more slits and that can use more curvature to them. And then we'll kind of move into the DuraBlock in certain areas. You'll see on areas I know need a lot of flex, because this block, you could see if I put this here, we're fighting it to get on all 4 points and we start digging in. So there's areas of these cars that you don't want to just use a straight line block, and it's not like a straight 50s Cadillac that you can, or a Tri-5 Chevy that you just go straight across the panel. These cars got a lot of curvature to them, so we want to use blocks that don't reshape the car. So let's get the block in. Again, we're going to clean off our block. This is super important on this step because we don't want anything under the block to go ahead and create ridges or gouges. And you'll see at this level, when you start blocking, it's not like the 80 grit. If you get dirt or something in the block, it will show in the panel. So if you do see that, you stop right away, because now you're doing more damage and more harm than good.
To clean off the acrylic block, I'm just using a little lacquer thinner and a razor blade and gently scraping it.
All right. So it's important in this phase that we're not pushing on the block. We let the block do all the work, and we change out the paper regularly to just keep cutting. And like I said, if you see any signs of bare metal, there's a spot up here too, we need to stop. Or really, it should be before the bare metal. Once we start seeing epoxy, I try to push it sometimes, especially in this area, knowing there's some filler behind the epoxy, because if we added something, I epoxied over it. So a lot of times I will push it. Sometimes the gamble pays off and we keep going. What we don't want, and why I like to push it a little bit more, I don't like to stack my material. I don't want to have this thing, you know, 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch thick, and we don't know how, we just keep adding to it. If I break out in one spot right here, well, we know that's the high on the whole car, and we have to add filler because, you know, we can't, or we just take a hammer. We shouldn't be using a hammer at this point, but we really have to work off the highest high of the car, and we want to take as much of the material off as we can. So let's get to blocking.
For time's sake, obviously, we are going to time-lapse most of the bodywork and the blocking videos. This is just an idea to show you the process and what we're doing. So I am going slow. I am, like I said earlier, not pushing down on the block. I'm letting the block do the work. Now you could see we're initially going to pass over the whole fender and door, the front area, and where I'm stopping is right where it starts curving up towards the back body line, and we start losing the right complete surface coverage of the acrylic block. I am doing full passes from the body line on the center of the car to the top of the car, and then we'll come back through, and then once we find out where most of the body work is still showing, I'll focus on those areas. Still not gouging an area, we're just going to blend those areas out and work them slowly one at a time.
Okay, so that was actually really quick. You could see when we get down to this fine grit, the 220, we start working the 320. Once we've done the major body work, this process on, it sounds like do a whole car. It's not as cumbersome as if you were at 80 grit and filler and just hitting it, that takes forever. So the more times you block it, you could see that block really, like I said, it wasn't that much time, minus Megan, who's filming right now. She probably thinks different because she did hold the camera the whole time. So I kind of wanted to push it a little bit so we don't have to sit here all day. But you saw we did do this area. There's a couple spots. What we're looking for the guide coat. Why I stopped right here is this block starts getting a little aggressive where I gotta push hard. So what it's gonna try to do, it's gonna start trying to cut into the door. So I stopped right here on this transition where I'm still pushing the block straight. And then I told you, we're gonna take the transition and go to a block with more slits or a smaller block right there. So that's why the block is stopped there. Also, you saw other videos where we'll tape body lines and sand into the body lines. This Challenger has a very defined kind of line that rolls off where we can't, it's very hard to make the line go away. So I'm not bothering taping the lines on this car when I can just roll out of the car and then come back in. So that's why you don't see tape. We're not going to get rid of this line, and we don't want this line to be crisp. We want it to roll over. You know, you don't want a sharp edge on this line. It's already defined enough. Personally, that's what I think. Also, saying that, you could see the Challengers when we block them, this dip right here, it's hard to get the block in there. You could see we start working the highs out of the center here first. You could almost see a little bit of gray starting to come through. So what we need to do, what I need to do, is focus more on this body line here now. Get this area, I don't know if you could see it on camera, right there blocked out, and then we have the top area that needs to block out there. So we got a couple more spots there. We got this section there. And then, like I said, what I'm gonna do, and we'll put it out on time lapse, and I'll kind of show you the highlights. I'm gonna finish covering this car in guide coat, and I'm gonna continue blocking this whole side of the car. Once it's done, we're gonna come back. I'm gonna show you how we're gonna go in, and we're gonna spot in some areas. Like I said, so far it looks good, but I know if nothing else, we'll go to the other side. There's 3 or 4 spots that we are gonna spot in and basically blend our 2K. And then, like I said, we'll continue on with the 320. You've got the same process. The blocking's the same. It's just what grit sandpaper you're using, and just sand off the guide coat. Those are the key points. And like I said, the more and more we do it, the easier the blocking goes with the car. And really, you could see for that quick amount of time, this car is really looking really straight. So again, if we have to hit a certain area, it's not the end of the world to just throw some on the car to fix a spot here or there. What we're trying to avoid right now, and I'm not saying I use some filler in the corner, is we don't want to cover this spot in filler right now, because then we have to blend it back out. It becomes more cumbersome than if it was, you'll see, to just spot in an area with 2K, build that thing with a high build, blend it out, and then use our block to fix it. But we'll get to those spots a little bit down the road. Let's get to some more blocking, and then we'll come back for some more thoughts on, what I'm thinking as I'm doing this.
You could see I did get most of the quarter panel blocked off. We did skip ahead a little bit along with the whole fender, work on our way down with the door. So the one area that we got to come back to is, like I said, this dip curvature. So we show this is going to be a Dura block we're going to use with a little bit of flex on it. So again, we want to make sure we can get in all the areas and roll down that curvature. So right here we are showing some real-time blocking and what it looks like and the speed that we're going. You could see I'm not putting any pressure on the block. My hands are real loose and relaxed. We're working the block up and down on the door. And obviously we went back to time lapse, but because it just takes forever, obviously this would really be slow on camera to show you the whole process. So you can see back and forth, we're cutting it. Every now and then we'll come back through, we're going to blow off the block with air, make sure we're clean and we don't get any dust or anything caught up in the sandpaper, especially since we're working our way down on the grits. The finer grit sandpaper you're using, or the higher grit number, the more often you are going to have to change out or clean your sandpaper due to it clogging up as much. So, but we are not shaping the car like we are with 80 grit. At this point, we're just barely fine-tuning the car, and you'll see in the future, we're just working the imperfections at that point.
All right, so where we're at, it's been a little bit. I have blocked out this whole entire car, straight line block for the most part, in 220. There is a few areas that we broke out in bare metal. Now, with this area, what I did, now that the car's was all straight line blocked, I'm sitting there trying to stare down the side and everything and just look at it just to see what looked weird. And like I said, I had a low spot here and I felt like I was forcing it to get too straight. Like I said, that's the problem with some of the straight line blocking. You have to remember, if you don't have a straight car and there's curvature in it, you have to actually adapt to it and just realize you're not trying to turn a curvature into a straight line. So that's where it's a compromise between the straight line blocking and then using more of a flexible block. So we did dig into this area, kind of got it back down following the curvature of the door, sweeping up. We do have certain areas you could see, like I said, that we did break out. Now that we're in 220, we want to go back through this car on the next step in 320. Now, saying that, we can't 320 here because it's obviously bare metal. So what we're doing with the 320, and we'll talk about more when I start blocking that process, is at this point in 220, we should almost be done shaping the car. Now, we want to start removing scratches when we step down from 320 to 600. And you're going to see that on a future video. We'll do the 320 on this video, but the future video, you'll see when we go 600 and we start really dialing this car and get ready for paint. Now, saying that, what I have right here is Omni MP 170 gray epoxy primer. We are going to go in, and now everywhere around this car has bare metal. We are going to go in there and we're going to reseal it. Then on the next step, what you're going to see, we're going to come back with the 2A2 to 2K primer, and we're going to blend these areas out, and we're going to build just this area up. We're not going to block the whole entire car. For the most part, the whole entire roof of this car is done. I mean, you could see there's epoxy showing right here, but we're good. If we block this on 320, we should be fine. And actually looking at this, I can actually see that there's some filler underneath. So this was an area that we did spray earlier. So we're building our roadmap. So what we're gonna do, we're come back in 320 all this area. Make sure we don't break out. If we do break out, we just spot in a little bit of epoxy and dust in a little bit of 2K. This is a process to go over and over again. What we are looking for, we are gonna do the whole entire trunk here and the whole entire hood. This is a really flat car. The trunk on this car is very flat. I don't know if you could see it or not, but we have one bare metal spot showing right here. We have one more up here. Now, saying that, if you look right here, I left it so you could see there's a bunch of guide coats still left on the trunk. I left it so we could show on the video, and right here on this spot, there's guide coat. I was straight line blocking it, and we hit here, and then you could see, I think there's a bare, or it's about to break out, oh, right there. So right there's our bare metal spot, and right there's our bare metal spot. We cannot take this area down and try to flatten this out anymore. Now, saying that, is this completely ridiculous and that's so minor? Yes, that's the whole point. And I hear videos all the time on people basically saying, okay, you know, this is overkill. You get the car one time and you could almost DA sand the car and it'd be fine. And if you're in a collision industry, this is completely, you would DA this car one time. We're not multiple priming. That's ridiculous. What we're trying to do here, we're trying to build show quality cars. Well, I'm not saying they have to be perfect, but what we're going to do, we're trying to straight line block the car where if you look down this thing, everything is perfectly looking like glass. Now you could say that wasn't done from the factory, and you're right. No, it's not. Why don't those cars look wavy? And I've had a bunch of people, you know, we've talked about this, and I don't think it's ever been discussed on a video on why we're doing this. So if you look at a factory, you know, single stage job, or even factory paint that comes out of dealerships and everything, they have more of an orange peel texture to them. So if you have an orange peel texture, this spot right here, where again, it's low, here's another perfect example. What we're gonna do, a low spot like that is gonna just blend in with the paint and look almost orange peeled with the orange peel texture. It's not gonna stand out. The worst thing I see at the car shows, and again, do you what you want, but there's these cars that they cut and buff and they look like glass. When they look like glass and your bodywork's not spot on, a spot like this would stick out, and you could see it when the light waves off of it. So realistically, like I said, do you have to go this level? Could you use a soft block and technically block this whole car? You'd never find these spots because it would dip in there and follow different curvatures. But when you look down it, and if you ever go to a car show, I mean, don't be rude and call someone's car out, but you'll see a car with a really smooth, slick paint job that they cut down, and you can look down and you could see the deviation in light. It's just not following the curvature of the car. And I'm not talking where the roof curvature is coming down. I'm talking a flat panel and you'll see a dip. The light will just ripple around it. That's a spot like right here that wasn't gone back and addressed. Now, saying that, certain colors, and I've had this comment on a bunch of videos, are more prone to showing these deviations than others. If this is a white car, you know, all the light right there is, you know, being absorbed in there. So you're not getting the reflection off of it, and you don't see as much, it won't show these kind of imperfections. A black car is the exact opposite. Metallic, certain things like that will also show this. Now, saying that, I personally, so this is something personally, like to build every car like I'm trying to do my best. So it doesn't matter that this car is going to be Hemi orange, or if it was a black car, or a white car. I'm gonna do the body work the best we can because we don't want to chance it. So I don't think I've ever explained why we're using the straight line blocking and the compromise between the two. What we're trying to do is just make certain spots on flat panels, you know, roof or crown panels, not stand out and flow with it. Also, with a lot of these cars, we really get down to it. This one's not perfect, but we are doing a little bit more panel to panel alignment. If you've seen a lot of these cars from the factory, I mean, they're really off. Again, this isn't 100% show car. Down here, there's some deviation. The owner said he didn't, you know, he doesn't need a show winning car, but so we don't have to go over and beyond on putting extra filler on the car, but we are still trying to get everything as close as we can to make it look as best as we can. So saying that, I hope that explains what we're trying to do here and why we've gone through a couple times with the 2K, the epoxy, and we keep hitting spots, especially on the hood, which you can see there's a bunch of spots on the hood, and that had that was a brand new panel that came to us. So realistically, that part has no filler body work. We didn't do any welding on it. That part should be perfect as per se. So that's where, you know, we're going to get into how far we take these cars. Again, this is my process. This is what I feel like I think does the best. I'm not sponsored by anyone either. So I'm not saying like I use the Omni epoxy. There's other products that do the job. I know it works for me because I have a PPG dealer. So we try to stay with mostly PPG lineup. Same thing with the blocks, everything. No one directly pays me as my channel or my shop to sponsor their stuff. So saying that, like I said, I have what I use. I'm telling you what I use. We could change it down the road. If I find some product better, I'm not stuck on just using this. For this, as far as the epoxy, I know it might not be the most expensive epoxy, but we've never had it failed. I think it's a good base substrate. We stick with the PPG lineup because that's what we're using, and we have a dealer close by and a rep that we deal with. So that's kind of a quick, you know, all around on why and how we're doing this body work that I don't think it's been explained. I think now is a good time that we're in this step. So let's continue on the video. So what you're going to see, this is hit the induction period right now. So what we're going to do, we're going to spot in the bare metal. I did leave these spots just to show you on camera. I'm going to come through with these soft sanders. You can use Scotch-Brite and everything else. But what we're going to do, we're going to put 2 coats of this. I'm going to give it about 2 hours. I like to be in the chemical adhesion window. So, you know, we're not trying to hit bare metal. So we'll spray all the bare metal around this car. 2 hours later, 3 hours later, it's 80 degrees, say, so perfect weather. We're gonna come back through. During that period, I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna get all the guide coat off those areas. And I'm gonna kind of try to circle it. Remember, anywhere I know that there's, like, I know I'm gonna hit this whole B pillar. So I know, you can see right there, that's what we're end up doing. And we'll come back through and blow off the car and just come back through, and we're gonna hit the 2K. So I know there's a spot up here that we're going to just blend it, and we're kind of come down there. We are going to do the whole trunk area just to get in here, and then we are going to do this door jamb area to build it out there. And again, I've said it on the past, I've been really working these corners right here. They've just been my Achilles heel on this car. I haven't liked the way they've shaped, so I kept working them, looking down them. So we're going to come back through and hit those up. So let's get the mask on. I'll just show you how simple it is to spot this thing in. I don't have my hook here, but so there's a spot up here I still got hit, but I'll give Megan a break. Thank you to her for filming all this. We don't have the fans on the shop too, so I don't want, since we are spraying and I'm trying to do a voiceover, but that's pretty much the process. I'm gonna come back in, I'm gonna spot in all these areas. Like I said, give it do a second coat on top of this, and then everywhere I see the epoxy, that's where we're gonna start our 2K and blend out, knowing that the epoxy is really our high spots though. So we're really focusing the 2K primer on the areas surrounding the epoxy to build those areas more. But we want a smooth transition, and that's what we're trying to do here. So stay tuned. I'll show you spraying the 2K again on the second round, and then we'll give it its period to shrink up and dry, and we'll come back with 320 and hopefully finish this part of the bodywork and get on to painting the chassis and everything else. So stay tuned for that. Let's get to applying the rest of this epoxy.
Obviously, we're applying this 2K primer during the chemical adhesion of the epoxy. You also can wait that 3-day window and re-scuff the epoxy. That some like to use the mechanical adhesion properties, which also works well.
All right, so I went through the whole Challenger and I got the whole thing blocked out in 220, and actually everything's looking really good. We have 2 spots that we have to address right now. So we're gonna spot in at this point. There's no sense in doing the whole car when now we're just 220 scratches. At this point with the rest of the car, we're gonna come back and we're gonna go to 320 and just take out the sand and scratches. So we have, like I said, one of the 2 spots is right here, and this is what I want to show you. What we have, if you could see, it almost looks like orange peel right in this area, circled right there. You could still see the guide coat. So that's where we have a low spot, and I'm blocking it, and you could see right now we went through our 2 layers of 2K here. There's our polyester, our slick sand, that light yellow type of filler, and then you could see our gray epoxy, and right here, I don't know if you could see in the light, I have just a touch of bare metal where I tried to push it and get that blocked out, and we couldn't do it. Again, this is so minor, it's mostly blocked out, but this is what we're trying to shoot for on the high quality bodywork and what we're dialing. So to fix this, what we're gonna do, honestly, 2 things you could do. We could just directly probably hit it with the 2K primer and it'll be fine. However, I want to make sure we're going to do okay and we're going to fill it up and not have this issue again. So we are going to hit it with some dolphin glaze, especially with the other spot on the B pillar. That's just same thing where the lead channel is. It's just a low spot that the trim's going to probably cover up. But again, we've come this far. What's a little bit more to do? So we're going to take our 180. We're gonna just sand all the guide coat off. And I know it's lowering it more. That's another reason why we are gonna use a dolphin glaze. So we got all our guide coat off, and we know our spot to hit our filler is gonna be right there. We're gonna circle it. We're gonna take our air and we're gonna blow that off. All right. So we're mixing up our dolphin glaze. If you haven't seen it, go back on previous bodywork videos, and I've mixed this up many times. You can see this is a glazing putty, so we're basically gonna just cover these small imperfections. So right there, we're just gonna kind of blend it in, try to feather out the edges and just make a smooth transition, and that should give us enough build right there for that whole area. And I'll show you, we're gonna just block that down when it dries, make sure we're good. And then we're gonna have to mix up another round for the other spot. I'm gonna go a little bit heavier on it just so I coat these areas. Okay, now also when we do, actually right here, we're gonna hit one little pinhole right there too, I saw. So we're gonna block that area out. I got a little bit on there. I did see a pinhole there. So we are gonna cover that. And like I said, that'll just be a smooth blocking transition. Okay, so we're gonna let this dry. We're gonna come back. We're gonna block this out real quick, and then we're gonna 2K it, and then we'll get to the next step. All right, so it's been about 5 minutes or so. We're gonna go ahead and start blocking this out. So first thing we're gonna do, we're gonna put our guide coat. Like I said, you've seen me do this on other videos. We're just gonna focus in on getting these 2 areas back level. So what we're gonna do first, We're going to take a straight block with 180 on it just to do most of the fine cutting, and then we're going to switch to 220. So let's get the mask on and let's start just sanding it out. Now, we do want to stay away from that bare metal spot as best we can.
Like I said earlier, we could have probably covered this spot with just a 2K and been fine. We are just going to show this as a process on how you go about finding a spot if you did think that the 2K wouldn't cover it. Also saying that, this dolphin glaze won't shrink up or need to dry time like the 2K primer.
All right, so if you look right here, you can see our focus spot in the center. Again, we're trying not to touch the car. I know I touched that hair to bring it back down. Should have gloves on, but you can see our low spot is still in the center there. We could start seeing our 2K coming out, but right here, you could see our hard edge, our very defined edge. So right now, we're gonna take a slightly more flexible but straight block. Like I said, this block will fit everything very nicely. The doors do have some curvature in them, so this will let us kind of shape it around the car. Again, we're still mostly straight. I'm barely pushing down on pressure. We're not trying to change the shape. We're just trying to flatten out this whole area in the car. So let's get this done with the 220. I'll show you what it looks like before we get the 2K primal.
So like I said, right now we're going to try to work our transitions on the edges and everything else, and then we're going to come back and fix it all with the 2K.
All right, we're gonna blow it off real quick. So that's it. What we got right here, you could see our low spot where that glazing putty is slightly green. So this is exactly what we want now. Everything's been blocked out. You can see there's no hard edges. We're trying not to over block it back into a low valley. So as soon as I saw those hard edges come out and what we want, we stopped. This is like a finesse thing. Like I said, you can over sand and then we just keep going. So it's one of those things you got to kind of handshake in the middle. So we're going to come back. I'm gonna do the other side, finished in this area. We got one, I see it, one hard edge right there. The good thing is, I'm gonna blend that out again. We are gonna 2K, and you're gonna see, we're gonna start to 2K from the door handle to about, we're gonna probably blend it right through this door section. So we're gonna do this area just to incorporate this area. And I know it is a little bit breaking through over here, so we might just kind of blend it a little bit more. We're gonna just do that section, you'll see, and then we just come back with 220 and just flush it all out to check our work. You're basically starting over with a new slate of, a new slate as you start blocking again, checking your work, because right now we don't know if we dug this out too deep because we tried to blend it, but like I said, when we come back with the 2K, we're just over checking everything because we already know we have a high spot right here, so we do have to go back through it. Saying that, are you really going to see that high spot? Maybe, maybe not. You probably won't, but it's one thing we don't want to gamble on. So let's get to doing our side. Let me finish these areas out. We'll come back, hit that bare metal with epoxy first, and then go with the 2K primer. All right, so we have our Omni MP170 epoxy. We just have mixed up 4 ounces, and we're just going to spot in a couple small bare metal spots around the car, mostly right here where we broke through and the other areas. So like I said, it could be any epoxy you're doing it. Try to use the same base that's already on the car so you have your roadmap on where you are. So real quick, this is all we're going to do, 2 coats. That's it right there. So we'll go to the other side. We'll finish doing the epoxy. We'll give this, so this waited 15 minutes for our induction before we're able to spray this. We'll give it our 15, 20 minutes, let it flash over, come back in for the second coat. We'll give it a couple hours then, and then we'll do our high build 2K primer. We'll do a couple coats of that on this, and then we'll show you the next step on blocking.
I cannot stress enough waiting a few hours, a couple hours at least, until the epoxy dries. What you don't want is epoxy still drying and you lay your 2K over it. You will have adhesion issues. So make sure you wait that time before applying the 2K.
All right, now that we got our 2K primer sprayed, I give that a week or so to shrink up and to make sure we're not blocking it, and then it shrinks up, and then now we have to do it all again. So While we're waiting on that, we have the rest of the car to do. I'm going to show you an example on what the next step on what we're going to do to the whole car. The hood is completely done. We have no issues on the whole entire hood. So we're going to take this from 220, I said, to 320. We're going to go to 400 because that's why I have a bunch of 400 in the shop. I didn't have any 320. It's not a big deal. What we're trying to do right now is we're going to get all these 220 sand scratches out of this primer and out of this car and get it ready for paint. So now, you know, when we come through with our sealer and our base coat, it's going to all be smooth. So that's what we're focused on now. We're not shaping the car. We're just removing scratches. So how we're going to do that is the same process. We're going to take our guide coat, and what I'm doing on this car, I take it in certain steps that, you know, I like to do the hood, the center of the hood one time first, and then we'll work our way to the fender. So right now, we're gonna focus on the center of the hood. I'm gonna just show you what we're gonna do, and I'm gonna go ahead and do the whole rest of the car. So just a little bit of guide coat again. This is your best friend when you're blocking out these cars.
With this guide coat, it doesn't have to go on super thick, just even full coverage.
All right, so we are gonna focus in on, like I said, this center section of the hood first before any transition. So I already pre-loaded my blocks with 400. We're gonna use this, obviously, same thing with the regular blocking. We want a block that's got a little bit of flex, but it's gonna stay flat on it. When we start blocking, I'll stop, and you could see some of the sand scratches, hopefully, that we're trying to remove right here. It probably is hard to see in the camera, but I already can see them plain as day in this car. We're gonna switch blocks. Right there, you could see there's something stuck in that sandpaper that was loaded on it, and it's starting to scratch. I tried to get it out, but it doesn't look like it's coming out. So if you see that, especially at this phase, we don't want to do any more damage than, you know, what we have. We have a good base right now. We're just trying to finish it out.
As we start the blocking process again, I'm going to show you in real speed right now. This is how I'm using the 400. Very light pressure, if any at all. We're letting the sandpaper do all the work and all the cleaning up of the sand scratches of the 220 grit sandpaper. And you can really see it start to come out at this point. This is where you need to pay really close attention, because now we don't want to over block anything. We want to stop as soon as the guide coat is gone.
All right, not to draw this out too long, you can see right here is exactly what we're talking about. You can see right now we're down to 400 and how smooth this area looks. It's almost ready for paint. We'll come back through, I'll show you down the road what we're gonna do, but then right here, you could start seeing as we start sanding it out, this is our 220 and our blending to 400, just the scratches in it. That's all we're trying to do on this whole car. We're gonna just start working all the edges. We're gonna take different blocks and just start blending all of this to remove all the guide coat. There is one spot right here too. You can see we have a bunch of 220 scratches. So that's the idea, the basic process on what we're doing. We're gonna go ahead and just keep 400 grit sanding this whole entire car, get all the guide coat off, and then we'll come back and I'll show you, we'll blend that other spot with the 220 and take it out and down from there.
So here we are about a week later. Now most of the cars already been done in 400. We are going to finish this side of the Challenger. I am going to start blocking the 2K now that it's shrunk up in the 220 in this top section first. So I did guide coat, like I said, the whole entire car, just because I'm going to come back through with the 400 and finish the bottom section. But the 220 right now, we're just checking everything, making sure there's no imperfections in this car. Then what we're going to do, we are going to apply our guide coat again onto the rest of the car. We are blending the 220 to the fender that's already been completely blocked down to 220. So now that the car is completely blended in 220 and now all the imperfections should be gone, we are now going to focus in on just the sand scratches. This is a crucial step on removing these 220 sand scratches, because at this point, if you went through and you just painted this thing, you would see all that base coat, all the primer would lay in those scratches and you would see them. That is the whole point of what we're doing.
All right, so we're done blocking out the whole car in 400, and I got one spot on this side. I finished the whole car just to make sure, and this is part of the process. This is why it takes so long, that we thought this whole edge was done, and I could just blame myself. I might have just went a little bit, well, I obviously went too much, but I might have been able to just let it go. But this happens. This is part of the bodywork phase. So we are going to continue the process on the we did over there that you saw. Same thing over here. I'm not going to show it on camera because it's literally the same process. The only thing different on this is, remember, we're down in 400 grit right now, and you really could see the scratches, how they blend out in the different layers of everything. But what we want to do, if we follow the TDS, the technical data sheet of the epoxy primer, which is going to be our first primer, it says that we need to be at a 220 to 320 or 350, I think it is, grit scratch on where we are going to prime. So now we got the area taped up. I just want to show you, I'm going to go over this area real quick with 220, and then we're going to lay our epoxy down in this area, and then we're going to blend out with our 2K high build just like we did over there, and we're going to block it down. And then, like I said, this is the process. If you find an area, you just keep working your way down on the car and really just dialing it in. We can't just do this area. We do want to blend it out. So that's what we're going to do. Let's I'm going to finish this off, and then we'll let it dry, shrink up, sand it back down, finish the car, get everything untaped, and then come back for a final wrap up on this video and talk about what we did. All right, so we're going to go wrap up this video on the 1970 Challenger RT and the body working of the car. As you can see, looking down and around this car, the whole car has been 400 grit, blocked out, everything straight. All the door jambs, body lines, everything line up really good. Even on the rotisserie eye level, it does look smooth and everything flows really nice. So saying that, off camera, I did take the soft sanders and I did cut down all the guide coat and just smooth out all the edges so they're not as crisp and over defined. What we will do before the next video, we're going to get the door handles. There's some trim we're going to put on the car, and there's some holes we do have to drill out. So we'll address that before the next video. While I'm doing this video and really taking the time, I know it's a real lengthy process, and the bodywork stuff on YouTube is not the most exciting thing. Hopefully it helps you out, because I feel this is something that if you take your time and you follow the simple steps, use a guide coat, get a good set of acrylic blocks, that you could sit there and dial in your car just as well with a little bit of practice. Obviously, someone that does this every day is going to be a lot more efficient at it, but it is something that you could probably tackle at home without a ton of tools or anything else. Saying that, the products we use, the epoxy, the slick sand, the Rage Ultra, and the 2K primer, they've been around for decades and they've proven the test of time. That's why we're using them. There's a bunch of new products out there. More welcome to try them. I'm not one to experiment on someone else's car, and like I said, they all try to, speed up the process. And honestly, where we're at in this shop, we're mostly a metal shop. I've talked to the owners and I told them this was not going to be the fastest of processes. So we will let the products dry, cure, and like I said, we're going to just wait. So you could see how a car can be stuck in the paint and bodywork jail, that, and that's another reason why we're putting out the videos. It's the fine details that really bring these cars to the next level. So hopefully this video helped you out. On the next video on this car, what we will be doing, we'll be tackling the underside. All the metal work, all the metal work's been done. It's sitting in just epoxy primer. And when this car came, the owner did want to keep some original parts, the frame rail and stuff. So there is some pitting on it. So I need to, get with the owner and find out if we're doing undercoat and certain products we are going to use under the car, because that will change the process on the car. But stay tuned for that. That's the next thing we're going to do. We are going to blow this car apart after I test fit all the trim and do a bunch more stuff off camera. And we're going to tackle everything underneath and get that ready for paint. And actually in that video, we might end up painting it. We'll see how that goes. Hopefully, like I said, this video does help you out. looking at this car, I think everything is really dialed in. It's great to see all the work finally start taking shape and really almost be ready for paint. So if you like this kind of stuff, please like, comment, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We do have a Facebook page, Carthage Classic Cars, where we post updated pictures on where we stand with all the projects before the videos come out. So check that out, and you can follow us along there. I'm Rick from Carthage Classic Cars, and we'll see you either on this video or check out some of our other videos.